sitting comfortably?
Hello and welcome to East London Radio. This is Are You Sitting Comfortably? At 12 p.m. on a Saturday. It's a weekly thing now. My name is Roo. We talk about movies here, don't we? Scott!
Yes.
Your
yes,
name
we do. My name is Scott.
Scott.
Yes, well done. Well remembered.
You know, I like sort of just going in head first and not planning that initial sentence. It makes it very exciting. How have you been?
Very well, thank you. I've seen you quite a lot this week. We've seen 2 movies. It's been exciting.
Indeed, we have seen 2 movies. 2 that I think are very good. 2 throughout which I was sitting comfortably.
How topical. How on point. Well done.
Well, one does one's best. What did you think, Scott?
What
kind of a mood have they left you in?
One of them was really pretty good, which is unusual for me. I know I come across as quite a grumpy bugger sometimes. And the other one was okay.
Well, that's better than nothing.
Well, it's better than last week, certainly.
The first film that we're going to talk about is Ant-Man by Marvel. The music that we entered the show to, though, was not from Ant-Man. That was from Inside Out by Disney Pixar.
Thank you for pointing that out. I would have been confused otherwise.
Yes, it's not kind of the vibe you're expecting from Ant-Man, but then the vibe of Ant-Man was different to what everybody was expecting, I think. Now, I'm just going to try and find here my countdown clock so that I can offer. Here we go. Got it.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
30 seconds worth of what Ant-Man is all about. Ant-Man is about a man who is very good at stealing things from other elderly gentlemen. Well, no, not just elderly gentlemen, but he steals something from an elderly gentleman who used to, in the past, be able to shrink down using a special suit to the size of an ant. The thing that he steals from the man is the Ant-Man suit. Now, the man likes the fact that the man can steal the suit and says, hey, you can keep the suit so long as you can steal this thing for me from these important people who are to do with the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the suit. The size of an ant. Now, to be honest, I think that was quite good.
Yeah, you did all right.
I was shouting a little there, so
were you?
Yes.
Oh, well,
my apologies, but I got through it.
You did.
And now I can breathe.
Done. Do you feel better?
I feel better.
Excellent.
And before we properly delve in to chatting about Ant-Man in minute, microscopic, ant-sized detail, we're going to play Christoph Beck's Ant-Man theme tune.
So we are.
Here it goes.
Yeah.
Christoph Beck does a wonderful job there with the Ant-Man theme tune. Christoph Beck has also done the music to the Hangover trilogy.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Yes.
Which...
a masterpiece in every possible way, that trilogy.
It did have a good theme tune, though.
Wouldn't know.
Oh, well, go back and have a listen.
No.
I played it once on the show. It was on our second ever show, actually. Wow. Way back when, with Aaron Butcher. Yeah.
Which maybe sometime soon we'll have online as part of the archive.
We do.
Possibly. Do we?
It's there.
Oh, we do.
Mixcloud.com/Roobox. Use the drop-down playlist.
There it is,
but there are other exciting things in the pipeline for Are You Sitting Comfortably, and we'll talk about those.
I thought you were going to say there are other exciting things on the internet.
There
One
are.
or two, yeah.
But that's for another show. Ant-Man. Yes. Now, what I like about Christoph Beck's soundtrack is that it kind of captures... Not only is it a really good theme tune without going down the Hans Zimmer I've Got a Ferry route. Bum, bum, ba, bum, 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 ba, bum. You know, it sticks in your head. You need a good theme for a superhero. But it also incorporates the little noises, you know, the... and then... ba, ba. It kind of... simulates the action that actually goes on in the movie, small to big to small.
It's quite a nice kind of caper style theme tune.
Yes.
I think. Yeah.
Oh yes, absolutely. That's the word I was looking for.
I like the word caper.
But you weren't so blown away with the movie itself.
No, I think for me it was nice that it was part of the Marvel universe, but it didn't.
It was nice.
It was nice.
It wasn't essential.
Yeah, it didn't add anything to the plot. It was kind of the Marvel Cinematic Universe's ginger cousin, perhaps, in that it was off to one side, and there's a cameo from one of the Avengers, the cheapest one, the one they could afford to come in for.
Which one was that? Not Hawkeye. I always get these.
No, he's a bird named one. Was he Falcon?
Falcon.
Yeah.
That's it. That's why I always think Hawkeye.
Yeah. So he popped up in
the cheapest and most attractive Avenger.
Oh, I've still got a soft spot for Thor personally. Although my favourite It was the one.
Ironic use of language there.
Yeah, well, it's that hammer, I think. No, my favourite was the Russian guy whose name I can't. Quicksilver from.
Oh right, yes.
Avengers 2.
There was a Russian guy in Ant-Man as well, wasn't there? He was quite amusing.
Yes, Old Man Have Safe.
Yes, and we'll be playing a track by the same name very shortly.
Yes.
What were we saying before all this talk of attractive men? Yes, it being part of the Avengers, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The argument, I suppose, is that it's not essential, but if you're up to date with absolutely everything, it'll just kind of magnify your enjoyment.
It mostly feels like a placeholder to me. It was, we just need to chuck something in here that's got no bearing on the rest of the story because we're busy filming the rest of the story and making it up as well. Not making it up, making it happen as we go along. And so we need something to keep people interested and remind people that the cinematic universe happens. But it's just a standalone. There's no sequel planned. There's no room for a sequel until at least 2019 anyway.
Well, yes.
Yeah. By which point even Paul Rudd might have aged by then. Look at him. That guy was in Friends. He looks like he's walked off the Friends set and has put that Ant-Man suit on. It's not been 20 years.
Was he in Friends? Was he something to do with Phoebe?
He was Phoebe's husband. He was. Oh, there's a spoiler for you if you're still in 1996.
Oh no! Have you spoiled Friends?
And there's the spoiler horn. He ends up marrying Phoebe, and they live happily ever after at the end of Friends. But yeah, he hasn't aged a day since 1997.
I didn't really watch Friends.
Well,
and I won't now. You've spoiled it.
Now I've spoiled it. That's the only story worth thinking.
I know. Well, I think Paul Rudd did a fantastic job in the role.
Yeah, he was good. I liked him.
He certainly. Well, the film didn't take itself too seriously, and he didn't take himself too seriously either. So I feel like it was consistent in that respect.
Yeah, I think
same as with Christoph Beck's kind of cheeky music. It was a cheeky film. It knew that it wasn't going to be a larger part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so it just had fun with a one-off invitation, I guess. I can agree up to a point. I found it a little bit irreverent at times, though. Without spoiling anything, whenever there was an emotional moment between two characters, yes,
Paul Rudd's character Scott would stumble in and say something to break the mood. And doing it once was funny. Doing it twice was it's okay. But when it comes to the fourth time and you're waiting for it and then it happens, it's a bit. It loses the fun. It's
to do with confidence, isn't it? Confidence in its own plot line, whether it be a sad part of the story or a fun-filled part of the story. The same goes for Falcon being involved. It's sort of like saying, we're not sure this will work unless we really make a point of showing that it's part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, when actually I think it could have worked fine on its own. There's this obsession with roping everything into MCU.
Exactly.
But with for the heartfelt moments, I agree. There was room there to really delve into some kind of heartbreaking stuff, but they didn't. They didn't have the confidence.
And I think you're right. And there is an emotional story there. Michael Douglas's character, Dr. Pym, which is a silly name, sounds like a soft drink.
Wait, it is a drink.
Yes,
Pims.
Pym, yeah. He loses his wife and he's estranged from his daughter, and they have some emotional scenes about that through the film. But every time Scott stumbles in, says something stupid, and we move on to the next action piece. And it was a little bit like, come on, give us a little bit more of a payoff. And I know they were keeping it light and they were keeping it funny, but I think there's definitely room for both in there, which is something we'll come back to later today, I think, on emotional range. I think even for a Marvel film, and they're not particularly deep and emotional films.
This was the closest it got to actually affecting me.
Really?
But then Paul Rudd stumbled in, as you say, just on the cusp each time.
All it needed was another 20 seconds at best.
Yeah.
And like you say, the cameo of Falcon, because the story to that is that they need a MacGuffin from a warehouse. And as they approach the warehouse to steal the MacGuffin, they realise that it's actually been converted into the Avengers headquarters. And so they have to steal something from the
secret Avengers headquarters with the logo on top.
Yeah, massive 20-foot logo on top of this secret headquarters, of course. And then, so they have this, then Falcon appears and tries to fight them off, and Scott manages to steal the MacGuffin, which for some reason is still in this what was a warehouse is now the Avengers thing. They didn't actually clean out all the stuff that was already in there. Apparently, they just kind of work around the boxes. I don't know. And then off they go. It could have just been, we need this thing. Oh, I've got this thing. Excellent. Let's move on. And they could have used that time to give us a bit more depth from the characters, perhaps. But I suppose...
So you think that, it was the shortest film so far in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Do you think that they could have afforded to make it a little longer? I like, though, that it's Ant-Man, the movie, and it's also the smallest movie.
Yeah, that's cute. Nice. But then I think I would hesitate to ever say that an MCU film needs to be longer, because...
Well, this one might have been okay with...
Yeah.
With at least being the same length as the others.
Yeah. Well, Jesus, I think it was perfectly long enough. I didn't get bored. I was engaged. I enjoyed it. A couple of little niggles, but it wasn't too bad. The other thing that I'm going to bring up very quickly was that they didn't go through more than 2 sentences of dialogue without bringing up Scott's name. And I think this might have annoyed me more than anyone else because it's also my name, obviously. But
I think that has a lot to do with it.
What do you think?
Yes, if they were going Roo all the time, I'd be very aware of that. If I watch Winnie the Pooh, I'll probably really pick up on every time they name Roo. I've never watched Winnie the Pooh. Probably should get on that.
Oh, you've never lived. Winnie the Pooh's awesome. We should do a whole episode on Winnie the Pooh another time, I think.
We will. And I'll introduce myself as Roo the kangaroo. As everybody always... Whenever I say, hi, I'm Roo. What, as in kangaroo? No, actually, no. Just Roo. For Andrew, obviously.
Deep breaths. Calm down. Bring it back.
Were you getting 90s vibes from Ant-Man? Because everybody in it was divorced or trying to win back a daughter or a wife or something. That was happening in all 90s movies. That was a 90s thing. Divorce was all the rage. I was thinking it's sort of got the same flavour as The Mask, which did have its kind of semi-emotional moments, but it was mainly just nonsense fun.
I think... I can see where you're coming from. I think The Mask was probably has its zany madcap turned up to 11, whereas Ant-Man was more around the 6 or 7 mark. It was fun. I wouldn't say it was as mental as The Mask, but I see what you mean. It was,
and you could also say that with movies like that are having a lot of fun, and then occasionally dip their toe in the emotional sort of puddle.
Yes. An emotional puddle.
Yes, it heightens that emotional scene. Whereas if that exact same emotional scene was in a much more serious movie, it would look really badly acted. It wouldn't be emotional at all. It's just because you've got the contrast going on that it affects you in any kind of way.
Definitely. There's it's an old dramatic. Even Shakespeare used to do that. You do a funny bit right before a sad bit. It really kicks your audience in the tits. It's fantastic.
The stylistic editing was what really contributed to that as well. It reminded me of Spaced.
Ooh.
With the, what do you call them? Whip pans.
Yes. Yeah.
And of course it was going to be directed by, what's his name? Edgar Wright,
Mm.
who is good friends, or has been involved with Simon Pegg.
Yeah, he did the Cornetto trilogy with them.
Well, there you go.
Simon Pegg and
Simon Pegg was
Nick
Spaced.
Frost.
Yeah,
who were both in Spaces. Yeah, I think, did Edgar Wright direct Spaced? I think perhaps.
Did he?
He may have done.
Well, that would explain everything.
Wouldn't it?
I'll tell you what, how about we look into that while we play the next track?
Why not?
Which is Old Man Have Safe.
Old Man Have Safe.
Christoph Beck there working his magic. Old Man Have Safe. Now, you wanted to mention something that I really enjoyed about the movie. You just reminded me during that. Thomas the Tank Engine.
Yes.
They
Gotta love Thomas the Tank Engine.
They clearly signed an exclusive contract with one another. Marvel and Thomas the Tank Engine. Do you think they're even owned by Marvel? Probably.
Everything's owned by Marvel nowadays.
Well, Disney, strictly speaking. The fight scene at the end, which isn't really much of a spoiler, really.
There's going to be a climatic fight scene. Everyone, that's
Pardon me. Because it's in the trailer. It's in the trailer. But,
so
just in case.
It's not a spoiler.
But if you haven't seen the trailer, there's a fight scene that happens based around a Thomas the Tank Engine playset. And this fight scene, throughout, the characters are going from small to big and big to small. Now, that's difficult to direct, I imagine. But they did a marvellous job, and there are some really amusing comic moments, like, what would you call them, like quick cuts from the small action to the big action.
Yeah, crash cuts perhaps. But
Crash
yeah,
cuts, that's it.
Yeah, but they're very nice. It was well done and very well choreographed, and it never felt clunky or jumpy. It was always very smooth between the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You never sort of had to sort of look around the screen and try and find the action, which is an issue these days, especially with shaky cam, I find.
Yeah.
Mad Max did it perfectly. Did you know all the action in Mad Max took place in the very centre of the screen, so that no matter where it cut or how often it cut, you knew exactly where to look?
No, I hadn't noticed that.
Nice technique.
Yeah.
But I was going to mention, I have to
Go
mention,
on then.
it's my duty to mention the fact that back in 2004, Farscape did a fight
There
scene
it is.
between two guys who were both shrinking and enlarging, and yes, well, I'm not going to spoil how that played out for you.
Please don't.
It was it was a very good fight scene, and you'll say we agree that this is a technical achievement for Ant-Man. Back in 2004, for television, that was a technical achievement for Farscape.
Yes, once again, you're making the point that Farscape is far superior to everything that's been made since.
And before.
Okay, yeah, as well. Okay,
It's very important
Yeah.
to point out.
so it's pretty much just the
Best thing ever made.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm just gonna nod and smile.
So, our verdict for Ant-Man, if you will, Scott, is it big and brave, or is it small and insignificant?
I'm gonna smash that binary and say it's somewhere in the middle. It's good. It's kind of medium. It's normal sized.
It's Marmite-sized.
It's normal sized, Marmite sized. So you love it or you hate it. I don't know. I didn't hate it. It's not my favorite Marvel movie. It's pretty good, but it's not.
What is your
Mind-blowing.
favourite Marvel movie?
I'm actually a big fan of both of the Avengers movies, but my favourite one, I know.
Both?
I know, yeah.
God, the
I
second
know.
one was awful.
It had that hot Russian guy in it. Though.
Oh, here we go.
He's my favourite.
Didn't have Falcon in it.
No. But my favoritist actually does have Falcon in it. It's the second
Winter
Captain-
Soldier.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
Captain
that was
America.
amazing.
It is easily the best movie. It was thoughtful. It was fun. It had amazing action scenes.
Oh, yes.
It had repercussions for the rest of the
Yes.
arc of the whole universe, and that's good. I like that kind of
It
thing.
also had a banging soundtrack. Listen to that in the gym. When Nick Fury's getting shot up in the car, that's a great one for the bench press.
Yes, and it had some brilliant Joss Whedon moments, like when Nick Fury's in the car, for example, and
Yeah.
everything's malfunctioning because the car's getting shot to buggery, and he's like, "What's still working?" And the machine just goes, "Air conditioning is at 100%,"
Yes.
and things like that. Yeah, and
He's very good at them little...
he is. And
little
there were
jokes,
there were
little
dramatic
nudges.
moments, and it wasn't one of those movies where everything's back to normal at the beginning, and the Terminator trilogy could take back to normal at the end.
Well, there was a pretend death. Pardon me, there was a pretend death.
There was a pretend death, but I think we all knew that was going to be a pretend death. There's no
I
way.
wanted it to be a real... I want the stakes higher, please, from a
Well,
Marvel movie.
in a lot of ways, it's not a pretend death. In that, by the end of that movie, the situation that the Avengers are in and the way that they work has been fundamentally altered, and that's why as a movie it has very big repercussions for the rest of the series. And
So
I
what
like
you're
that.
saying is there is a consequence there, it's just not death.
Yes, it's a big change.
Hmm.
But then actually thinking about it, by Age of Ultron, they've kind of glossed over it a little bit, haven't they? It's like that change doesn't really make any difference to their normal operating.
Well, I'm hoping Civil War will delve straight back into that one.
I have a friend who's a drag queen whose drag name is Sybil War.
It should be Civil Whore.
I don't know him that well.
No, okay, so in terms of, I'm not a Marvel fanboy by any stretch of the imagination, but in terms of favourite Marvel movies, it's got to go Winter Soldier,
Yes.
Ant-Man, Guardians of the Galaxy. That's the order it's in.
No.
But I know you really didn't like Guardians
I
of the
did not.
Galaxy, which is why you should watch its far superior cousin, Farscape.
There we go. Good lord.
Some more music that was in Ant-Man, not by Christoph Beck, but by the Commodores. Commodore. Am I reading that right? Commodores.
There we go. Yeah, we got there.
I'm ready.
Are you?
Funnily enough.
For another drink, probably.
And we're fading.
Ooh,
It's
that
a
was
fader.
It was a funky one.
They always sneak up.
Funky
on
fader.
Very funky.
Mm,
Funky
a little bop.
stuff. The Commodores there.
Yes.
Yes.
Now
Now,
is the official pronunciation. I checked.
we have a fun little game that we're going to play for the rest of the show. Now, last time, if you remember, we were asking who said that then. You guessed it correctly after half an hour, so this is another half an hour to make up for the half an hour we were missing last week.
Sorry.
It was McBain. It was. From the Simpsons. The Simpsons answer to Terminator.
Yeah.
So, I'm asking you once again, Scott, any idea who said this?
What's the cool jams?
Any ideas?
The cool jams.
What's the cool jams?
And she's not talking about sandwich spread.
Oh, I was about to make a fruit joke. Never mind.
I beat you to it.
It's definitely not McBain this week.
No.
No. Good.
I don't remember that episode.
No. I do know who said this because it comes from one of my favourite films.
Do you have a clue for
What's
our
the cool
audience?
jams?
I'm trying to think of a clue that won't give everything away.
If you've got the answer or a fun clue, do get in touch with us at ELR Comfortably on Twitter, facebook.com/ELR Comfortably. And is there anywhere else?
Oh, no.
Not at the moment,
No.
but you can listen to every one of our previous shows at mixcloud.com/Roobox. Just use the little drop down there and access the playlists.
Yeah.
Now, Scott, we're moving on to our main feature, you
Right.
could say.
Ooh.
It's a big movie. It's been long awaited.
Yes.
It's Inside Out. So, if you don't mind, 30 seconds worth, please, of what Inside Out is all about.
Right. Oh, right. The whole idea of this movie is that people's emotions are played out inside their head by little characters that are adorable and fun. And you've got anger and joy and sadness and fear and disgust was the other one. And they all work together and express emotions through the person, and the person reacts in the right ways, and they create memories, and the memories affect how this person lives, and it's all about that, really.
So it's kind of like The Sims, but in reverse.
Yes.
The Sims from within.
Yeah, the sim within.
I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, we can go with that. I think it's... Yeah. And it's a fantastic movie. It's really, really good. Amy Poehler is one of my favourite people, and she plays Joy, one of the main characters, and the whole movie feels very much like Amy Poehler. It feels like she's just done the whole thing. She could have written it, directed it, and starred in it.
Do we know how involved she was? Did she just do the voice of Joy, or did she do more?
As far as I'm aware, she's only credited as the voice, but I imagine she had a little more to do with it than that.
We'll have a butcher's at
We'll
that,
check. Yeah,
while
let's do an
Michael
IMDb.
Giacchino plays us the first day of school. An unusual noise there to be coming from Michael Giacchino.
That last bit, the little strummy bit right at the end, reminded me of Mumford & Son. It was very kind
I've
of...
not seen Mumford and Son.
It's not a movie, darling. It's it's one of those bands the kids are listening to.
I just sounded like Ian Hislop. I was compared to Ian Hislop the other day. I don't know how I feel about that.
Oh, wow. No, I don't get compared to anyone. I don't get any. No,
Because you're so unique.
I'm a special little snowflake, aren't I?
Inside Out, the sim within, as we're calling it.
As you're calling it.
What do we think? How do we feel? Were we sitting comfortably?
Loved it. I was sitting very comfortably all the way through. It's such a fun
I didn't
movie.
even register that I was sitting in a cinema. I was so involved.
You were drawn in.
That doesn't happen enough these days. Or would you say it happens quite enough?
No.
Because if it happened more, you wouldn't respect it quite so much. Like, you wouldn't come out of Inside Out going, wow, it did that to me.
No, I think it should happen more. I want to be able to.
It used to happen more, didn't it?
It did. I want to look forward to going to the cinema more and that happening. I think at the moment I go and see a movie, and a lot of the time I'm like, all right, that sounds fun. I'd rather be excited. And this was a movie that I wasn't excited to go into it. I hadn't. It hadn't struck me. But then when we got watching it, it was lovely. Really, really nice.
I found myself wondering how they were going to do it. Because the mind is a complicated place, and I didn't like the idea that Disney Pixar were just going to wave that complication away and say, here are kids, there's some little fluffy creatures controlling a computer desk in your head. That's how it works. Now be quiet and go away. They really didn't do that.
No.
It was so intricate. They had thought of literally. I couldn't think of one thing left that they hadn't thought about in terms of how the mind works. At least for a child of that age.
And
that they hadn't tackled head on in a Disney Pixar fashion.
Exactly. And they had actual. I think a psychologist was part of the process, so they could. Things like when the memories are stored, they're moved from short term to long term overnight, and
I didn't really know that until I saw them.
That's what dreams are, apparently. That and telling you the future. Because that's what dreams really are.
Are they really?
Yes, they are.
What about that time I got attacked by a giant polar bear then?
Well, I would advise not going anywhere near Antarctica or
I'd been watching far too much
I can't remember which one where
Lost.
the bears are. Which one's got the bears?
The polar bears?
Yeah. Are they at the top or the bottom?
Maybe the... Oh,
Doesn't
I don't
matter.
know.
Crashing on.
Maybe the top. We'll go with the top.
Either way, stay out of cold places. You'll be fine.
Because they'd fall off the bottom.
Don't go to the zoo. They would fall off the bottom. Jesus Christ. Back to the movie, shall we?
The movie of the mind.
Movie.
You liked the way that all of the long-term memories were stored in shelving, laid out in the shape of the patterns of the brain.
I quite liked that. That
but
was
they
a
don't
nice
even
touch.
They don't nod at that. They don't highlight that using any vocals or anything vocabulary. They did.
It's just there.
It's just there, and you just have to see it and go, "Oh, that's nice."
Yeah, I think the only bit that they overdid, perhaps, was
the abstract thought.
Yes, that was a bit silly, but I can see why they did it. It was nice to have a little bit of peril in there for a moment.
Well, Looney Tunes have already done that with old Daffy, so I thought it was a bit of a retread. But everything else was, I think, just extremely original.
Yeah,
and obviously. So full of effort. Like you can imagine them, pizza boxes stacked up, coffee cups toppled over in the meeting room. So how are we going to do this? How should we show this for kids? Like, how do we make it fun but thoughtful? And I was on the edge. I was so close to shedding a tear.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
My friend said beforehand that, it's a bit of a tearjerker. And I was like, it's an animated movie, mate. I've seen the Minions. I'm prepared. I don't know why I was speaking that way at the time, but
But have you been drinking again?
No, but I think though what we were saying about the Minions and DreamWorks being very good at short and sharp comedy.
Yeah.
Disney Pixar really are very skilled at making you care about just complete nonsense.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and I think that just the talking about emotional depth again. The emotional depth of the characters was obviously a big part of this because that's what they were showing. But it was never done clumsily or overdone. It was always joy trying to make everything right and keep everything really happy, and not realizing that the other emotions have their
place.
Yeah, and they are useful. That all emotions are useful, not just the happy ones that we enjoy. That they're all part of what it means to be a well-rounded human.
Yeah, obviously more of that was dedicated to certain emotions than others, but it was depicted in other little ways. For instance, when characters would need to break through something, they'd get angry, so that he would do that for them.
Yeah.
But obviously, the hard-hitting emotional stuff was Sadness's story arc.
Yeah, which I think, especially for the character's age, was perfect. I think we were talking about how, as a sequel, there'd be as she just hits. She's about 12 when the film finishes. I think how a sequel. Going through puberty would be probably need a slightly higher certificate than a U.
Well, I was thinking, there are ways around it. You wouldn't necessarily need it to be all about sort of, horniness and hormones and all,
How great would it be to have horniness, the character, join the others in her head and just be like the whole way through.
You could have horniness being a sort of Johnny Bravo character, couldn't you? Flirting with all the others, trying to take over, be the new boss, and them having to fight back. You could if Pixar can do it. Pixar can make it okay for children.
Okay, I'm not sure.
Well, what other? Who else would you trust?
Well,
with the human mind, the complications, the endless kind of debate around topics of psychology and emotions and all of that. Who else can go? Yeah, that's a film for kids. We can not only make adults really like this, but make it thoughtful and a film for kids that they will want to grow up and watch again when they understand better what it was trying to get at the first time.
I don't know whether doing a film around puberty and explaining it in that kind of way is going to do much for the kids. Like, hey, kids, give it a couple of years. You've got this coming. Wait till you get get the horniness upgrade.
But it's not exactly as though the children of the same age are watching Toy Story 3 as Toy Story. I reckon a lot more adults than kids probably watch Toy Story 3.
Well, the arc there was that you kind of grew up with
the characters.
Yeah, and
with Andy.
With Andy, good old Andy.
See, I was always able to write Andy on my Buzz and Woody shoes.
Aww.
Yeah, nobody else could do that.
Aww. Unless they were also called Andy.
Yeah, but you don't think about that when you're a kid, do you?
No, I think one of my favourite bits for Toy Story would have been in the same kind of vein. Would have been that the toys got off light. I don't think they really want to be going to university with them and sitting on a shelf and watching them do all the things that kids do at university.
Oh, yes, that would have been another sequel that could never have happened. Although you would have thought that once in a while they would have met Andy's mum's toys.
Oh dear.
Because she was, there was never any Andy's dad around, was there?
No, that's very true.
So there would have been one or two strange-looking folks in the other room.
Well, they've already got a toy called Buzz. I mean, what else are they going to...
Didn't somebody once get a Buzz Lightyear stuck up their bottom?
They did. Yeah, they were using it as an adult toy rather than...
Why would you use Buzz Lightyear as an adult toy?
But it got stuck when...
if anything, you'd use Mr. Potato Head, wouldn't you? Once you've taken all the eyes and nose and mouth out, of course.
I don't know why, but I'd be more comfortable using Mrs. Potato Head. But apparently, yeah, once Buzz was inserted, somehow accidentally, his pop-out wings were deployed and he got stuck.
All that requires is some forethought. Surely you'd just unscrew that. I like the way I'm trying to reason with whoever this is who's putting a Buzz Lightyear up their bottom. Don't do it.
You are spending a lot more thought on this than anyone else I know, which is a very interesting thing. It does, however...
would you open his helmet, or would you keep that shut?
I think it's a personal preference. I don't know how to answer that question, but and there was wasn't the soundtrack Randy Newman's "You've Got a Friend in Me"?
Adds a whole new meaning to the phrase.
Oh, Randy Newman, you've got a friend in me.
So, but okay, talking of soundtracks, there wasn't an iconic song or bit of music, I'd say, that really will sit with us as the music to Inside Out forever and ever and ever. I'm not saying Michael Giacchino didn't do a fantastic job. I really think he did. But there's not that You've Got a Friend in Me, but for Inside Out, is there?
No.
Unless it really just flew over my head and I didn't catch it.
Unless maybe it's the Bing Bong song.
Oh, yeah.
But no, I don't think so.
Bing Bong, the imaginary elephant.
Yes. Well, half elephant, half dolphin.
Yes, half cat.
Yeah.
That's three halves.
Well, she was only 2 when she invented him. Maths was probably not a strong point.
But this is just another perfect example of all the things they sat around with their empty pizza boxes discussing. The imaginary friend. How are we going to depict that? How are we going to depict that after a certain age, emotions are complicated, and you have mixed emotions after a certain point. But now we're getting into an area where we may risk spoiling things a little bit.
Wait, here it goes.
No. I
braced myself. I'm holding onto the desk.
My finger was hovering over the button, but I thought it wasn't worth it.
No. I think the handling of Bing Bong was lovely. It's interesting that he wasn't in the trailer or anything like that, which was nice.
I think, though, in the trailer he would have come across as a bit of a Jar Jar Binks.
And he's totally not. He's
you had to warm to him, though.
Yeah, and he's a brilliant part of the story. So, unlike Jar Jar Binks, I didn't want to kill him a lot.
Yes, isn't there talk that J.J. Abrams is going to kill Jar Jar Binks or something?
Somebody.
And if he doesn't, we're going to call him Jar Jar Abrams.
I'm not. I've got plenty of names for him if he brings back Jar Jar Binks.
Here's a thought for you. All the secondary characters in Inside Out had emotions that were of the same gender as themselves. So the female teacher had female emotions. Mum had female emotions. Dad had male emotions.
Yes.
Why did our main character, Riley?
Yes.
Why did she have a mixture of female and male emotions?
Well,
do you think she's going to have to figure something out later in her life?
I think it might have been part of the thing is, she's too young to She's not had society stamp the patriarchal gender roles on her yet. She's not heteronormative enough just yet to have figured all that out for herself. I think perhaps that is where they were going with that one, or maybe
there's
it was
Inside Out 3 for you.
Well, yes, definitely. I think talking of the other people's emotions, I think it was interesting and a little bit sad that the mum's emotions were ruled. The main emotion was sadness.
I noticed that as well.
And Dad's main emotion was anger. Oh, but neither of them came across as sad or angry. It's just that was the person in the driving seat most of the time.
Yeah, they'd obviously
in the captain's chair, if you will, if you want a Star Trek kind of
mellowed out over age.
Yeah.
And they're just the people who get to sort of call the shots. Yeah, the emotions that call the shots, rather. Yeah, that hit me as well.
Yeah, but at the same time, they were nicely done, and it was fun to see the inside of the parents' heads occasionally as well. Yeah.
So what you're saying is Mum and Dad are Goofballs No More by Michael Giacchino.
See what you did there.
Michael Giacchino giving you pause for thought there. He's very good at action, madness, and then bringing it right back to, oh goodness, I'm nearly crying. He did it with Lost. He didn't do that so much with Jurassic World. But more of that in just a moment, because we're asking the question, and we'll reveal the answer in not much time at all. Who said this?
What's the cool jams?
Who said...
What's the cool jams?
Boysenberry.
Boysenberry?
Yes.
Who's what?
It's a type of jam.
Is it?
Yeah. See, I'd had that. That was in my pocket earlier, and we didn't get to it. So,
yes. So we'll reveal the answer to who said.
What's the cool jams?
Very shortly.
Very shortly.
Yes. Michael Giacchino, do you think that you listen to music from Jurassic World, from Star Trek, upcoming Star Wars he's doing? I don't know how he's got time for all this. He's doing Inside Out, Mission Impossible 5. He's doing so much of the stuff. I don't really know how he can keep track of what each movie sounds like, which is why I think that the beginning of that track just there did sound a lot like when characters are being chased by the Indominus Rex in Jurassic World, for instance. And some of that crops up in Star Trek. And, of course, there's always little, I feel like, on purpose nods back to Lost occasionally, because that's really how he found a name for himself, I think.
Hey, remember that other thing I did that people liked?
Yeah. And does that bother you when you hear that in soundtracks? Or do you think each film should sound very independent to the last, whether or not it's the same composer or not? Or do you think that it's actually quite nice for a composer to be able to do that and put their stamp on their music?
I mean,
look at Hans Zimmer and his Ferries, for goodness sake.
Good God. Do I have to? Bloody Hans Zimmer. I'm not a fan.
You're on the wrong show, mate.
Well, I'll get my coat. Anyway, I think every composer has their kind of their personality, their own vibe that they bring to the music, and that's nice. And I think that there's only so many ways you can score a fight scene or a chase scene or an emotional thing. There are definitely not tropes, but emotionally the music has to go a certain way if the action is going a certain way.
Yes.
And I think the problem would be if you said or if a music guy, I've forgotten the name, composer, a music guy,
music man, from down our way.
The music man from down our way was only known for doing chase scenes or was only known for doing fight scenes.
Well, some are, unfortunately.
Yes, there are a few, but I think when you have a composer who can bring all the different elements together and make a really cohesive soundtrack that has the ups and downs that you need, but it's all got a little bit of their personality, but a lot of the movie in there. That's what you need.
I'm going to say David Arnold.
I'm going to go, okay, and nod politely.
James Bond.
Oh, yes, yes.
He did a lot. Well, he did sort of the back end of Pierce Brosnan, so to speak.
Well,
and he did the first few Daniel Craigs. And he always knew when to blare the trumpets and then when to wheel out the piano. Yeah.
Well.
He did it well.
Good.
We've got a bit more Michael Giacchino, after which we'll reveal who said this.
What's the cool jams?
Raspberry.
What's the cool jams? Dream, a little nightmare, please.
Ooh.
That is a departure from Michael Giacchino's usual stuff. It's very kid-friendly. I enjoyed that. That was an adventure. I was bobbing.
Yeah.
I was bobbing around.
Bopped around the room.
Yeah. You know, in some films, it sounds like a bit of orchestral music is starting and stopping. With Inside Out, it kind of all became a bit of a blend, and they say those are the best soundtracks. We don't really realise quite what's going on with it. It's all a seamless experience. Then afterwards, you go and have a listen to Michael Giacchino and go, well, actually, you did a fantastic job there, Michael. I'm very proud of you.
You can almost see it happening in your head.
Almost see it happening. We're asking the question: who said?
What's the cool jams?
What's the cool jams?
What's the cool jams?
Any ideas, Scott?
Yes.
Go on.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Are you ready?
Absolutely, I'm
Okay.
ready. McBain.
Yes, it's definitely McBain. No, this, keeping on theme, this is Amy Poehler again, this time as Regina's mum from Mean Girls.
Is there alcohol in this?
Oh, God, honey, no. What kind of mother do you think I am? Why do you want a little bit? Because if you're going to drink, I'd rather you do it in the house.
No, thank you.
So, you guys, what is the 411? What has everybody been up to? What is the hot gossip? Tell me everything. What are you guys listening to? What's the cool jams?
Mom, could you go fix your hair?
Okay. You girls keep me young. Ugh, I love you so much.
Mean Girls. Regina's mum. It's Regina, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tina Fey working her magic as well.
Yeah.
We should play some music from Mean Girls at one point. We should review Mean Girls.
Well, we have Sisters is coming up, so it'd be nice to do a Tina Fey movie as a preparation for that, I think. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the end has come
Ah.
for another week of Are You Sitting Comfortably? It's been fun. Inside Out.
Yes.
Are you in or are you out?
I'm very in. I'm all the way in.
Okay. Well, I mean, I can recommend you go see Ant-Man and Inside Out. Go do it.
But would you say that Ant-Man was the best film about ants? Is it better than A Bug's Life?
Oh! No.
No?
No.
So still
but
A Bug's
Inside
Life.
Out is better than A Bug's Life.
Yes, but it's not about ants.
What? Inside Out?
Yeah.
No, but it's Disney Pixar, isn't it?
Well,
anyway.
yes, I know.
We're hurtling towards the end of the show right now. This is the end.
Oh.
We're going to play You've Got a Friend in Me by Randy Newman.
Randy. Bye.
Join us next week for another thrilling episode of Are You Sitting Comfortably?